mallet in my hand. You good? Am I good, Bill? I'm calling us officially to order. I haven't seen you for a while. Or maybe you were here and you were just being good. Okay. So, good morning. Welcome to TMG meeting number 282. It's October and it's 2018. Do I have any of those facts wrong? Okay, so we're all in the correct classroom. We don't have to scurry off to another one. So, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's try it one more time. I'd like more synchronization, a little more zest. Okay. You know who I'm looking at? That was, oh, well, you were doing it. All right, you ready? Okay. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay. That was good. We had some energy there. Disclaimer. Okay. I managed to trip and fall Tuesday. This is my first day of walking without pain. Okay, I do have some analgesics in me, so I'm focused, but not completely as focused as I usually am.
Over the counter or prescription?
Prescription. Okay. But hey, I'm more focused than when the allergies hit and I'm loaded up with the decongestants. That was last week. Okay, so welcome. As part of our normal meeting agenda, we have what we call the welcome. Guillermo, do we have visitors today?
We do have one glorious visitor.
Okay. And I think we had a late walk-in. That's handy. Yeah, as you can tell if you're visiting, we're not what you would call an extremely formal group. We're not high church, we're more like chapel. Okay. So I've got, and I can't read the name, this is terrible. All right, so I'm gonna guess it's Renee Dubois. Am I close?
Fine, yes, it's just do this, nothing fancy.
What's the last name?
Do this.
Dubas. Okay, Renee Dubas.
Yes.
Renee, would you be kind enough to stand up for a moment? Okay. Why did you come to the meeting?
I came with my dad, who's been talking about this group for a long time,
Okay.
and I've been meaning to come, so we made sure it happens.
Okay, what kind of computers do you use?
I have a MacBook Pro,
Okay.
and I've been on the Mac environment for about 25 years.
Okay.
I'm a graphic designer.
Okay. Any other mobile devices that you're using that are Apple related? Phones, tablets?
No, I do use Android on my phone.
Okay.
Yeah, but
So what do you do? You're actively working as a graphic artist now?
yeah,
Okay.
I have for about 25 years.
Okay, so you're doing the Adobe
Yeah,
Creative
Adobe,
Cloud.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Illustrator, InDesign, Photoshop.
We have more than a few people in the room that do that kind of work or have done that kind of work. What kind of things have you wanted to do, but you have no clue how to do it on the computer?
You don't know what you don't know. So I really don't know, but I'm always playing with it, I was always getting into the files that you should probably get into and having to go take it someplace and how to restore it to where it should be, but yeah, so I'm just excited to see what.
Okay. At the break, people say hello to Renee, make her feel welcome. If anybody wants to borrow money,
I came prepared before me.
Okay.
I have a checkbook.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, do we have any other visitors today? No. Okay. You are not going to be excluded.
I'm here second time now, by the way.
Oh, you had an iMac where there was a disc stuck in it.
Yeah, I did have that problem.
Okay. So, what can we do for you today?
Well, I have three questions for you.
Okay.
Three questions. to
Okay,
ask
so
you.
when we do help desk, we'll do the questions. Okay, very good. All right, next item would be news, and I'm going to make a modification to our agenda and add an item. Mr. Georges, who's our Apple ambassador, who's also in charge of our raffle items, can you give us a quick overview of the things that we have on the raffle table today?
Well, we have 3 books, and they hit right on. iPad for seniors.
Okay. iPad for seniors.
iPhone for seniors.
iPhone for seniors.
We have Mac for dummies.
Macs for dummies. Okay.
We also have 2 flash drives that have ebooks on them.
Okay.
These flash drives are 32 gig. You can reformat them and use them, after you take the ebook off and the other ebooks that are on it. So there's 2 of those. We have a license for Tech Pro
Pro
10. That's a nice program. We have 2 certificates, ebook certificates from No Starch.
Okay.
They're a pretty geeky outfit, so if you do Arduino and stuff like that, there may be some books on there that would interest you. We'll see if anybody takes these. If they don't, I'll give them to somebody who's
Okay.
interested. Affinity, there's an Affinity bundle, Affinity Photo and Affinity Designer. Affinity does a nice job. At least I have the photo portion. I don't have the designer one. But this is a bundle of both programs. OmniFocus Pro 3. I'm not real familiar with what
It's a productivity
Yeah,
app.
productivity.
Yeah.
Get your life in order. 2 Amazon gift cards. We have a USB-C device that you plug into one of your ports, and it gives you an HDMI out, 3 USB 3s, and an Ethernet port. So if you've got a late...
For those of you who have wondered, when I talk about dongles, that I would call a dongle. It plugs into a USB-C port, and you've got HDMI you can plug into it, an Ethernet port, and
Because, a lot of the new batteries, they don't have the Ethernet port in there.
that is correct. That is
And
correct.
the last thing we have is a Seagate 2 terabyte external drive. Now don't let this fool you. It says DJI Fly Drive. This was made for people that have drones. And it has the little micro SD cards in the drone that you can take out and plug into this hard drive, and it'll pull the video off. But this thing works fine as an external hard drive, and it is USB-C. But I went out and bought an additional cable, so anybody who's got an older Mac, you can use your USB 3 to this drive. It's got the correct connectors on them.
The e-books are from the good folks at Tidbits?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Anybody have a question?
So Tidbits
Check
is
them
one
out
of
during
those...
that break.
Tidbits is one of those websites that is both a news site and a center of learning, if you will. So they have a rather robust electronic publishing of Macintosh-related, iPhone-related, iPad-related topics. So if you really want to learn how to use Pages or Numbers or Keynote, those are all Apple programs. They have ebook tutorials, and you can download them. You don't have to, put them on.
Dummy books came from Wiley's.
Okay. So just so you know that we go out, and I shouldn't say we, Mark goes out and beats the bushes to see what he can get from the vendors. Okay. Now, the reason I made that change to the agenda is because for 7 years I've been telling you people to go up, look at the raffle table before you sit down and get settled, and guess what? You totally ignore me for 7 years, so this is a more efficient way of doing it. Okay, moving right along. News. Does anyone have any news items they want to share with the membership? Going once, going twice. Yes?
Office 2019 was released on September 24th.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know it till yesterday.
Office 2019 from Microsoft
Microsoft for
for
Mac
Mac.
and Windows.
Yep.
for Mac and Windows.
I just bought
Okay.
the 2016.
So now I've got some learning I got to do. Do you have any idea how many flavors they're released it in? Okay, so that will be something we'll have to learn more about. So those of you who are wedded to the Microsoft ecosystem, Microsoft Office 2019 for Mac and Windows has been released. Okay, good to know. Anybody else have anything they want to add? Going once, going twice? Okay, I'm going to repeat an item from last month because I had somebody call me after last month's meeting to tell me that Experamac at Austin Landing had closed. Apparently they didn't know that, so I'll just mention that again. That Experamac Austin Landing has closed. They are not open for business. If you go there, they will not serve you because they are not there.
Do you know why?
Pardon?
Do you know why?
I would assume that the business model was not as vibrant as it could be, and I think they knew what was coming with Apple being very hostile to non-value-added resellers doing repair. So Apple is supposed to be releasing some new computers at the end of this month. Mine and some other new mobile devices. They've already experimented with the iPhone, putting stuff in so that a third-party vendor could not replace the screen. In other words, the phone would not work if it didn't have, and they're intending on extending that to the entire Macintosh line. So if your business model is repairing iPhone screens, iPad screens, iPhone screens, selling used Macintoshes, repairing older Macintoshes, basically Apple is going to put you out of business.
That or adding additional RAM. I don't think you can buy a MacBook Pro or even a MacBook now that doesn't have the memory soldered and also the storage soldered right to the motherboard.
Now, there are other non-Apple sources in the Miami Valley that are not value-added retailers who are still doing screen repairs and such. The two that come to mind, help me out. I know DNA in Kettering. It does really good work. The other one that's up at the Green.
The Apple Store is there.
It's not the Apple Store. It's another one that's up there.
Oh, you went.
Go to our webpage.
Harry's.
Yeah.
Batteries in the bulbs.
Yeah. Batteries Plus. That
Batteries
is
Plus.
strange.
Okay, Battery Plus does that, but the other one is...
Resources. Go to
okay,
Resources.
Resources, thank you.
On the left. DNA,
Gem
Jim
City Digital. Gem City Digital.
And it looks like I need to update, take Experamac out.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that needs to be updated. Okay, now that I've finished bloviating, you have the floor.
Just a quick note, right now, I believe it's with the 2018, that T2 chip plus what they're doing with the phones, there are 19 states that have issued and are going after Apple saying that this proprietary repair software that you have to use in order to do a repair, you're going to have to make it available. It's not just them, it also is car manufacturers and stuff like that, where these shops are going to supposedly, they're trying to fight to get them that, because basically they have to have the software to be able to let your machine run again.
Yeah.
And there is lawsuits on it right now.
The other thing to be aware, she said it's also other things. Another example would be farmers.
Yep.
Okay? You have the classic farmers out there fixing his tractor. Minnesota rolled over to the lobbyists, and it is now illegal for you, if you're a farmer and you own a John Deere tractor, to repair it yourself. You must take it to the dealer for repair. And we're not talking about the robotic tractors. Okay, so this is something that the right to repair, it's an actual thing. Okay. And as we speak, there are people with money in Columbus who are trying to get the state legislature to also deny that
They need to
ability. Okay. Yes, John Calvin.
This is a general business tactic that started 40 years ago. Started with the manual razor. Well, they would give you the razor, but they would sell you the razor blades.
Mm-hmm.
Then you bought a printer, and they set up a printer, so you had to buy the ink.
Mm-hmm.
and they were basically giving you the printer for cost.
Yeah.
Boeing just bid and won a contract with the Department of Defense for trainers. They're going to sell the trainers for 85% of the Boeing development cost, with the provision that all the aftermarket support will be done through Boeing. That's the same business model that GE has when they sell all the jet engines. So it's a trade. Do you pay the money up front, or you pay the money in the life cycle?
Correct.
And so this is a generic business strategy battle that's going to go on.
So this is one of the things that the user group, which is really a support group, we share information. So this is something that doesn't just affect your electronic life. This is your other parts of your life. Was at a customer on Tuesday where they got bit twice by this sort of thing. The first one was the husband had stocked up with HP ink. He had a really good buy. And when he went to put it into the printer said, your ink is too old. You can't use this ink. And then the second example, at that same customer's house, the wife went to make me a K-cup coffee. She hadn't cleaned the K-cup machine they have upstairs, so she took the little K-cup downstairs to use it in the other machine, and the other machine said, this K-cup did not come from Keurig. This is not an official Keurig K-cup.
Are you serious?
Because the newer ones only will work with their K-cups, they won't work with others.
I'm just going to go home.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Headline.
Okay, so anyway, again, it may seem like a minor irritation or annoyance, but this is how market forces are going, and it's the wrong direction. Another one that I'll just add is that Apple is actively encouraging all of the software vendors on the Apple Store to switch from a fixed price, you paid your money and you got the app, to subscription.
$365 revisited.
So instead of buying the book and you own the book, it's going to be like the magazine, where if you stop paying, it stops coming. All right, so just be aware of these things, and when you're making your purchases, you might want to make sure that you actually are purchasing the thing, you're getting license rights as opposed to you're subscribing to it. Okay. Anybody else have any other news items they want to add?
This goes along with what happened with my wife. We were up in Michigan for 2 days. My wife wanted to stay at Hampton Inn or Huron. Well, she wanted to go through Hampton Inn. Okay, she had a thing came up and it said Hampton reservations. She thought it was Hampton Hilton. When we got to the motel, we were informed that we have to deposit another $50 just because it's a third party here with Expedia that tricked her. She thought, it said Hampton reservations. It wasn't Hampton, it was Expedia. It's no big deal, the $50 for us, but for some people that could be a game changer. We didn't like giving our
That's
information.
dinner out for 2 people and wine and beer.
And there was only a difference of $7 or $8.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, these are things that you need to think about when you're doing this stuff online, when you're purchasing stuff in the store. Ask questions, be informed, be educated, be a smart consumer. Okay, anybody else going once or twice? Any other news items? Going once or twice? Okay, moving right along. Bill Wharton, do we have a problem with typhus in the Miami Valley?
I don't know. I don't work anymore.
Okay, never mind. Let me get back to it.
Why do you ask?
Well, I thought you were like... Oh, never mind. Okay, he has truly retired. For sale, wanted, and freebies.
We have a bunch of CD, DVD cases. There's no DVDs in them, but they're all over there, and they are free. Take as many as you want. Take them all.
So we've got 2 bags over here. One says Bad Body Works, and the other one is a generic
There.
Panera bag, and they've got DVD cases in them.
Or CDs.
CDs, DVDs, Blu-ray. You could put Blu-ray in them. They're compatible.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Hey,
You know,
Bill?
Holy Host, you know, you put it, I know, it's like that. Okay, anybody else bring anything that they're giving away?
Yeah, Bill, go get that box over there. I brought it for a certain specific person. That person's not here, so if anybody wants it, that's that little gear thing
Okay,
that I had
tell
last
you,
month.
you want me to tell the story?
Yeah, go ahead.
His wife ordered one.
She's here. Just give it to her, you don't have to tell us.
Okay, you're not the
Okay.
person, but that's
I'm gonna
okay.
tell
You
the
can have
story
it.
anyway, then I'll walk it down. Okay, you wanna walk it down? Okay. So his wife bought one.
Yeah, we got 2 dozen from Amazon.
One case.
And they said, don't worry about it. Just get rid of them.
They have my charges for one, so.
So sometimes it goes the other way. Are there any people looking for equipment, used equipment? Yes, Kathy.
An iPad
Looking for an iPad?
or more of a laptop.
Okay. Okay, so we've got anybody who's upgrading and they've got older equipment they want to, like Kathy now? Anybody else? Freebies wanted? Okay, question for the audience. I went through my cables. It only took me 60 days. I have extra cables, except for the icing cables that go to Bill Wharton. I have extra USB printer cables, the ones that have got the D-shaped plug on one end and the rectangular plug on the other end. I've got USB minis, I've got USB micros, I've got FireWire cables, I've got whole bunches of SCSI cables, small computer serial interface cables. So if you have legacy equipment, anybody's interested in that, let me know what you would like me to bring to the next meeting. Okay, so I did that. My wife will be proud that I actually did what I was told. Okay, moving right along. So we've done for sale, wanted, and freebies. Now we come to the one that people actually find a value, which is help desk.
Bill, before you go into that,
Yes.
remind everybody about inclement weather.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay, 3 things. First one, we're going to be having snow this winter. Okay? If it has snowed and you're not sure if the meeting is on or has been canceled, go to the tmgdayton.org website. All right, so tmgdayton.org. Yep, clicked on the wrong one, of course. There we go, tmgdayton.org. It'll be on the front page, the welcome page.
It'll be
where they
underneath
got
the meeting calendar.
Finder?
I will.
Pointer?
Yeah, man, what's a spell checker?
Flounder?
But they've done that to me too. Okay, and I was the co-founder. Okay, so if we've canceled for some reason because of inclement weather, okay, before you hop in the car and you drive in from Lebanon or Yellow Springs or Urbana or Englewood, okay, Union, okay, check the website first, okay? Because that's where you'll see whether we've canceled or not. All right. Second item. We have a ladies' room, which is on this floor, in this room, right next to that water fountain over there. There is a ladies' and a men's room on this floor. If you go down that corridor, through the double doors, over to the sanctuary, around the corner, there's a men's and ladies' room there. And for those of us that are not afraid of stairs yet, if you continue that way, go down the stairs, all the way through, there's a men's room below.
Sometimes the doors are locked on this other one here,
I understand that.
just so people know.
Yeah, in which case, let me know, so I'll unlock them. Okay. And, okay, so those are the business items. So where do you go if you're not sure if the meeting has been canceled or not because of inclement weather? You go to the website. Okay.
They only did 1 and 2, what was 3?
Help desk. Taking myself back to help desk. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. Yes, help that I have.
I got 2 points, one for help later, and that is, I have a Google account. They upgraded the Google account and my contacts, a bunch of my contacts disappeared. If anyone knows how to transfer contacts from AOL to Gmail, I would like to see them during the break or after the break to help me figure that out.
Okay.
The other question, though, is I was looking on my iPhone at a YouTube thing the other night, and it starts fading. It starts going dark. I still have 82% battery. Is there something to go in there to make it keep the light on, so to speak? I don't know why it started going dim.
Timing out.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Tap the screen.
Will you do that if the battery's going down?
Well, my battery is still at 82%, so that's what I didn't know, and I would tap it. Sometimes I had to just keep tapping, and I didn't know if there was something where you could configure it not to do that.
It could be that it thinks, okay, I don't know what time of day it was, but some of the iPhones, people have turned on the setting where it automatically adjusts the screen depending on ambient light and time of day.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
so I don't know what, this is not a fix, it's just a workaround. Go to settings. As soon as you're in settings, pull down on that, your sidebar. It'll give you a little search box and just type in there bright. You can do brightness, but bright will do it. Then it'll take you to that brightness setting and you can change it to what you want it to be.
Okay.
It's manually overriding what the device is doing.
Okay, thank you.
As to the other one, Mark, when we did Mr. Georges, when we did the presentation on email and migrating data from one account to the other, did we have that up on YouTube?
Everyone I've recorded, I've put up
Okay.
there.
So we may have a presentation that we did on
So
it.
that's
What he's looking for is called night shift.
night shift.
It's under
So on the iPhone, it's called night
display
shift.
and brightness.
Okay.
You can actually turn on, like mine is.
Oh, right.
While they're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and move on to. Yeah.
Oh, my questions, yes. I turn off my iPhone SE in the night before bed. Then the next morning, I turn it on, I touch, then all of a sudden discover it's already on without going through the password page. Why?
How are you shutting it off?
Okay, do you
Well, I
normally,
thought I shut it down. I actually shut it down.
do you normally have a passcode set where you have to put in a passcode after so many minutes? Or do you
After
turn
I,
that feature off?
yes, I have that on.
Okay.
So I thought it should ask me to do the password before I can, turn to the this
Right, to get to your
pages.
stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, chances are you're not shutting off the iPhone, you're sleeping the iPhone. Okay? So when you say you shut it off, you're pressing that
Yeah,
button
yeah,
on the
yeah,
top,
right.
and then you get the dialog that says
Go
go and
like
turn
this,
off,
and
and
then
you're
you
pulling
push
it
it,
across, and it does its thing.
Well, it's shut off, but then next morning, I realized as if I have not done that. In other words, was just sleeping.
You're getting that. getting that, you're pushing that to shut it down.
Yeah, I do that, yes.
Okay, you are actually turning it off.
Yeah.
But your iPhone may be set up to turn itself on automatically to do a backup or to do something else over Wi-Fi.
Maybe.
Okay.
Doesn't it then shut itself off? No.
No.
It doesn't?
No, then it will wake itself up, turn itself back on
Okay,
to do
okay.
that though.
So where do you find out if you do that?
Um,
Have it set up then?
Do you have your iPhone tethered or linked to a computer, either Windows or Mac?
Not, no, just all by itself.
It's all by itself. Okay, so that eliminates that possibility. Because some people have their iPhone set to back up not to the cloud, but rather to their computer.
Right.
In which case it will, over their Wi-Fi, do that, and it will wake up and do it at night. I don't know. I don't know. Let me talk to you at the break and maybe look at your phone.
One other thing.
Yes,
perhaps.
Mark,
Some iPhones can also be made with a thumbprint, some of them. So maybe if he set his up that way, you
Did
don't
you
have
do
to use it.
fingerprint?
Yeah.
Fingerprint?
Yeah, where your iPhone knows your thumb, your fingerprint.
Yeah, I have, yes, I do have fingerprint code, but I also set it so that the very first time I have to use the passcode, not the finger.
Okay, the fingerprint
I
is
use
the
the
same
fingerprint to push
as, the fingerprint will allow you access to the phone. It's equivalent to the passcode. So if you put your thumb, whatever finger you've identified, that's like putting in the passcode. We'll look at the phone. What were the other two questions?
The second question concerns my late 2009 model iMac. Okay. You know, I was so inundated by the, long list of junks in email, right? It's sort of slow. One day I saw that says, why don't we use add remove? There's a program app called add remove. So I put that in. Then I did realize it's faster getting up, because I don't know why, but it does do that. Begin to tell you how many times at where he's trying to contact me, like Yahoo trying to contact or to send my information 4,000 times in the last 2 days or something like that. Anyway, it says, well, it gives you 7 days of free time. Then if you want it, it's about $9.99 every month.
Yeah.
What is your opinion about this add remove?
I think you're talking about the best.
No,
it's
it said add remove.
Okay. My response would be they usually are not worth the money that you're paying. If you, what web browser do you normally use? Google, Safari?
Safari and Google, I use both of them. Most time in Google, yes.
There are extensions which are free for Google, which will block ads and do that sort of stuff. Okay. Google, if you're running a modern Google Chrome browser, it has that stuff built into it. So if you're at Google version 60 and above, actually version 58 and above, it has that feature built into it. Safari is going to be the version that's linked with the operating system you have. It may be a little bit behind the times, but again, there are free extensions you can install into Safari that will block ads and provide you with that extra bit of security. Okay, and they're free. Okay, I have this objection to paying for something when other people have it free. Example, I collect old-time radio shows. okay, 1930s, 1940s, 1950s radio shows. The Shadow, Lone Ranger, that kind of stuff. Adventures of Captain Morgan. You can go to websites on the internet where they will sell you these shows. Or you can go to the Old Time Radio collector site where they have literally hundreds of thousands of these shows available for you to listen or to download for free. Because you see, these shows are no longer under copyright protection. Okay. So I tend to go to Otter and do my stuff there when I'm looking for something. Okay? All right. I hope I sort of... Mr. Helper.
I have a couple of comments, or a comment and a question. One goes back to earlier discussion. I was preparing a briefing to give in Europe, and I did it on my MacBook, and I used Microsoft Office. I went to transfer it to an iPad, and I didn't have Microsoft Office, so I thought Pages would accept it, since Microsoft Office was supposedly compatible with
Keynote, not Pages, Keynote.
Okay, that wouldn't work, so I had to put Microsoft Office on my iPad to get it transferred. I could transfer everything through the Google system, but I had an embedded MP4 file, and when I go into the Google system, it won't accept an embedded clip. That was put on. So it's important when you're moving things between your different devices, make sure you're using the same technology, because there's less integration today than there was 5 years ago.
The other thing, and there's a reason for it, it's called the love of money. Okay.
It's the same issue we talked about.
Yeah, okay. If I had a Microsoft presentation and I wanted to be able to use it on an iPad, the technique I would use is I would put a copy on my Dropbox account. Then from the File app on the iPad, with Dropbox already configured, I would launch it using either Keynote or Microsoft PowerPoint.
Yeah, I used AirDrop and I could move it.
Okay.
Same thing. The other thing I have a question about is when I use a computer, I have a dongle like this to interface with the printer. Or not printer, but projector.
Yeah.
But I notice you have a different system on your projector.
Hold on a second.
That's HDMI.
It's the
Looks
same
pretty
thing?
similar.
This is HDMI.
No, it's a HDMI.
Right.
That's a VGA.
That's VGA.
Now, which one should you carry when you go? Do you have to carry both dongles when you go to a meeting? So you
Carry 'em
can
both.
use your.
You never know what you're gonna get.
Let me get that in there. Sorry, I broke the number one rule of presenting: don't screw with the equipment in the middle of the presentation. But we're back. Okay, the computer guys.
So you've got two different technologies interfacing with a projector, and you don't know when you show up which projector systems are using, but this is the one I've always used from my computer.
It gets even more complicating than that, because some projectors are built to be on the network, so that via Wi-Fi you can put stuff into it. So you've got HDMI, you've got DVI, you've got VGA, you have EVGA. Typically those projectors are so old that, because those are the ones that are, so what does a road warrior do? You walk around, you travel with...
Dongle bag.
Yeah.
That's why I carry this.
Mr. Cartwright, would you mind just telling us briefly for the members, what do you have in your dongle bag?
I have a dongle for everything that I connect my iPad. So I have VGA, HDMI, all the ones you just listed.
Okay.
And I carry them all.
Ethernet?
Everything. When I travel, I carry every one of them.
Yeah.
When I'm going to go present somewhere. Because you don't know what you're going to end up with. Unless I take my own projector, which sometimes I take my own projector.
Yeah.
Okay.
But this is my dongle bag, and I keep it with me whenever I go travel.
There is a new breed of projector. They're called the Pico, P-I-C-O projectors. Pico meaning smaller than micro, where quite literally it's a box no bigger than an Apple TV or whatever, and it's quite robust. So some people are going that route.
The problem with those, Bill,
Yes.
I have one of those, really little.
Yeah.
The problem with it is it doesn't have enough lumens
Yeah.
for some rooms.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the newer ones are getting better, and this was really a high lumen output at the time. But still, if I go into a conference room where there's any light at all, it washes out at a few feet. So you have to know that you've got some limitations with some of those smaller
But
projectors.
if you're having an impromptu meeting at
Oh, yeah.
Panera, okay, and you want to bring up those monthly, quarterly budget numbers,
Yeah.
okay, Pico projector will get you there. So I feel your pain.
Well, 10 years ago, when they came out, they told us we were going to make these things smaller and thinner, and you're going to carry less devices. Today, I carry twice as much crap as I did.
Well.
Okay.
It's gonna get worse.
John, 2 words, paperless office.
Yeah, right.
Wireless computer. Okay. And they sell us more stuff. Yes, Kathy?
Did I hear him say that there's trouble between getting things from Pages to Microsoft Word, and that you should be using Keynote instead of?
He was taking a PowerPoint presentation. And remember, let's just make sure we've got the trilogy set. Okay, 3 programs: Word, Excel, PowerPoint. You got that? That's Microsoft Office.
Okay.
Word for Word documents, spreadsheets are Excel, you're doing presentations is PowerPoint. Over on Apple, Apple's suite, its iLife programs, you've got Pages, which is the equivalent of Word. You've got Numbers, which is the equivalent of Excel. You've got Keynote, which is the equivalent of PowerPoint. So he was taking a PowerPoint and opening it in Pages.
Okay,
And it dropped out the video.
okay.
If he had opened it in Keynote, you have a better probability of things still working.
It would have worked.
Yes, okay. Let me go back to Elton. Another question.
Yeah, this is a separate help
Sure.
desk question, let me ask. It's a 2-parter, and one of them is just, I want to verify one more time. I think one time you mentioned.
Speak up, please.
I had a question once before about the new solid-state drive MacBook Pro. It's solid state. On my older machines where it got the spinning wheel,
Yeah.
I used Onyx to do a secure delete. And I think I mentioned this to you, and you had said, I want to verify one more time if that's true. The option button and the Finder empty trash will do a secure delete on the new solid state device, irrespective of the Googling it, and it says there's no way to do it.
Okay.
Is that really a secure delete?
Solid state devices retain and lose data differently than traditional electromechanical devices. Okay. Electromechanical hard drives, we call them hard drives. Hard drives, you've got a much longer life on it, reads and writes, because you're not, there's virtually no physical change to the media. In a solid state drive, there's a limited lifetime. The lifetime is so long, though, that most people will never encounter the fail of a solid state device. But if you're doing secure deletes, where it's erasing the same thing and writing and reading many, many times using different patterns, you are going to wear out that solid state drive way before it should die. Okay, so you don't want to do secure deletes on solid state drives.
What if you got privacy information, you got all your bank accounts and the numbers, and you've got all your other privacy information, and you don't need it, so you've got to delete it somehow because it's plugging up the storage capacity of your machine, you want to delete it.
You don't want to do a secure delete because it will wear that solid state drive out.
So
It's
then
not
the
a
answer-
procedure you want to do. What you do as your alternative is periodically you use disk utility to erase the free space on the drive.
Oh, you can do that with the new solid state?
You can do that with the solid state drives. Now, the difference is when you do a secure delete, okay, let's say government level secure
Right.
delete, okay, it's writing and reading stuff onto that space buku times.
35?
Oh, 72, 128, all depends on
Oh, you
which
can't
standard you're
change it.
using. And it's also going to be encrypting and unencrypting that stuff. Okay, anyway, there's just a whole bunch of things they do to it. That is going to absolutely wear out a solid state drive much faster than it should. I mean, it should last 20 years, theoretically. Okay. So what you do instead is periodically, once a month, you use the disk utility that comes with your operating system, which understands solid state drives and things that are esoteric like trim factors, and you have it erase the free space. So instead of it writing multiple times, it's overwriting that catalog. Think of it like the card catalog of a public library. And it's also making sure that shelves, books being the files, the shelves being the storage on the drive, making sure those shelves are swept clean.
So what I do is then do a regular delete and then go do the
Yeah,
a disk utility
yeah,
erase free space.
yeah. And you do it, once a month.
And that's, well, would be securing my documents that I was worried about.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, the other thing to keep in mind is that I can't tell you how many times I've been called to somebody's house because they updated the operating system. iCloud Drive got turned on. All of the documents on their desktop and in their documents folder got migrated to the cloud.
I solved that. No iCloud, my own iCloud is
Okay.
hooked to my computer.
Okay.
It's a backup drive, that's my
Okay.
iCloud.
But there have been times when I've been at someone's house and they're doing secure deletes of the data, and I'm going like, you do know that's being stored on the cloud.
If you allow it.
Yeah, So, you can be screwing up your solid state hard drive all you want, but that data is still retained in some backup on some server. Remember what cloud storage means. When they say it's stored in the cloud, that means it's stored on someone else's computer.
Remote.
Yeah, remote. And you don't know where the computer is located. You don't know who has access to that computer.
Just a server.
So think about that the next time you have your tax returns stored in the cloud. Okay, let me go to Bill Powell in the back.
First thing in the latest version of the operating system, there is no erase free space option
Okay.
in disk utility.
Oh,
You can wipe the drive and use that back.
The only choice you have is security options, and you don't want to do.
no, you don't want to do that on
And you have your formats, and that's it in the late,
Is this High Sierra and Mojave?
Yeah.
Okay.
Second of all, data rescue of whatever software you use, is it equally accessible on a solid state drive than it is on a mechanical drive? If you erase something, how hard, or is it easier to get it off of the older style drives?
Here's the dirty little fact that most people don't know. When you tell a computer to erase a file, to delete it, okay, now remember my analogy. The file is like a book in a public library, okay? And then you got the card catalog that tells you where the books are. What they really do is they just take that index card out of the card catalog. Yes, I know, I'm old school, and they don't have the index cards anymore in the libraries. Okay, it doesn't actually overwrite the data.
It changes the directory, but does it do it the same way on an SSD? The data's still there,
Yeah.
but it doesn't show up.
The
in
data's
the
still
directory.
there, it's still there, it can still be recovered. Okay, even with APFS and the other stuff they've done. The latest data recovery utilities now work with APFS. Okay, that's the new filing system that Apple released with High Sierra and with Mojave. Okay, I'm getting stares from the audience. I'm not sure if I'm doing good or you're about to charge the podium. Okay, we'll go back to Elton one more time.
Okay, you mentioned once a month or whatever, go to disk utility and do erase the free space. I'm looking at disk utility on this new MacBook solid state. I don't see anything that says erase the free space.
Okay, hold on a second. What Bill just said.
It's not available in the latest operating system of disk utility to erase free space. You do not have that option.
They took it
I do not
away.
have the option on this.
Not in the latest operating system.
They took it away from you.
I don't know how far back you have to go.
I don't have Mojave, but I got the other latest Sierra.
Sierra. You know, apparently High Sierra doesn't have that option either. When I think it was been 3 or 4 operating systems ago, they changed disk utility to a real basic erase and
you still had the function in El Capitan. They took it away in Sierra.
okay, so the last two.
If you check the YouTube videos, you've got me kvetching about how they took away where I could look at the logs and see how it was different. Yeah,
So there's no hope.
Well, there may be. There might be other software on the market. I don't know if Disk Tool Pro does, but there's some other
Drive Genius,
or something
Tech
like that.
Tool
You might
Pro
be able to
10.
erase free space.
Tech Tool Pro 10.
Okay.
But if it's a solid state drive, it's not going to do a secure erase. You can just have it do a one.
Right.
It's not a secure erase.
And just for
Something
you
to
know,
think about, Elton. You might want to keep the files that are most important, that you want to keep private and secure. Have them not reside not on the hard drive in your computer, but rather on a flash drive. A flash drive. They call them geek whistles, they call them thumb drives.
They are.
USB flash drive,
take
because the USB flash
drag and
drive,
drop
you can do all sorts of stuff.
Drag and
with it.
drop them on a flash drive.
Yeah, and you have them only there.
Password protected.
Yes.
Also, Tech Tool Pro 10.01 has not been tested with Mac 10.14.1.
Correct.
So just be aware of that.
But
It doesn't say it's not going
they're
to
working
work,
on it.
but
Yeah.
it just hasn't been fully tested yet.
You could reinstall the operating system, couldn't you? Wouldn't that wipe the disk?
Yes, you could do that. But see, this is like you burn down the house. You burn down the house to get the squirrel in the apple.
Put all the options on the table, then he can choose.
Well, yeah, I mean, the other one, you could take a 45, put a slug through the computer, making sure you hit the solid state drive.
The secure privacy.
Okay, I'm gonna let Elton talk to the lady. You had
Real
another
quick,
question.
2 weeks ago, we got a refurb 2017 iMac.
Okay.
I'm setting it up. My wife says I have to put a fire or something on it, but I have the Airport Extreme Apple, and I have a bat. It's not air, it's cable connected. Do I have to have this fire thing, whatever?
Okay, I have no clue what that is.
I don't either. That's why.
Okay, this is, okay. Homework assignment. When you get home, talk to the wife. Either have her call me or have her really explain it well to you.
What is it that she's trying to do?
I'm just setting up, and I also want to clone my
Oh, you want to connect two machines and you want to tether them with a cable.
Yeah.
And you can, okay, the brand new machine is not going to have a FireWire port.
No,
It's going to have a Thunderbolt port,
okay,
or it's going to have an Ethernet port.
okay,
Okay, the go-to spot now is, if I've got a really old machine and a brand new machine, is to cable them together with an Ethernet cable
that's what I want to
and
do.
have them do the transfer that way.
Yeah, but I just want to know, am I secure enough with the VAST and the Airport Extreme? Airport Extreme, or do I need to do something else?
No, you're not going through the Airport Extreme.
No, I don't mean when I'm doing changes with Apple, from one computer to the other. I'm talking about just once I go onto the internet and stuff. So I have to put it out, and there's one thing, I don't know.
No, you don't have to put a VAST on. One of the things that Apple has not been very forthcoming about is that every Mac it has shipped since, I gotta remember my old operating system names. Before Panther, before Jaguar, Puma. Puma. Okay, that was the first one after the beta. Has had a thing in it called, it's got the acronym CLAN. Command line antivirus for mailers. It's a Unix thing, okay? Even though macOS really isn't Unix, it's close enough. Okay, it's BSD. It's there. It does antivirus stuff, but the thing is, it doesn't protect your data, it protects the operating system and its kernel. Okay? So it's protecting itself. No, you don't have to put a VAST on. I'll just tell you.
We do, because if you go onto Google, sometimes you get stuff that they're telling you, don't open it.
Yeah, but Google's telling you that website has been poisoned.
Why VAST is what tells us that.
And remember, VAST doesn't make money unless you end up buying and their VPN service and their, so they're going to give you false positives. I know, I'm cynical. 14 years at a newspaper, I'm cynical. So they're going to give you false positives. Okay. There is nothing that Avast does now that Google Chrome doesn't have already built into it, that Firefox doesn't already have built into it, and that Safari doesn't have already built into it.
Safari, so, okay.
Okay.
So should I take a VAST off of my machine? The free?
If it's causing problems, yes.
Okay, it's not causing.
If it's not causing problems, then just leave it alone. It's not one of these things where two of them is going to cause the problems that two antivirus programs would do. Okay, you don't want to have McAfee and Norton, Symantec running on a computer at the same time. Unless it's being used for no useful work and it's only there to scan, floppy disks and who uses floppies in this? Just runs like me. Okay. All right. Dan.
Hello. Sorry, I apologize for being tardy. I missed the freebies section, but
Dan,
yes.
point number one. In this group, we don't do guilt. You have nothing to apologize for. We appreciate you for the rare, delicate flower that you are. And I'm assuming you had something yourself.
Yes, I'm feeling generous this month, and I actually have a freebie. If anybody needs a third generation Airport Extreme, dual band capable, it's a freebie. See me up there. What did he have?
He has a third generation Airport Extreme, dual band. It's a router. Airport Extreme router.
Yeah.
Not a time capsule where it doesn't get enough airflow and it kills the hard drive. Cooks them to death. Yes.
I had a question. I was working on the iPad from my iPad book. I'm trying to figure out how to edit photos in email, and it said that I can import the photo into email, which I did, and then you hold down the button, and after a while a little menu comes up. Now, I had upgraded my iPad to 12.01, and this is an OS 11. And when I did this over and over again, I could never get it so that I could edit my photo in email. And I wondered if anyone had done this before. There's just a simple editing program it says is there, but it doesn't come up when I
And
try
the
it.
program is,
Email, I use Apple. Well, it was email.
use Apple Mail, but.
I use Apple Mail.
Yeah.
I was working on my iPad here.
Okay, so is it a third-party editing suite you're using to work on
I
your
don't think
photos?
so, no. It simply says, see with my eyes here, it says, prepare your email and the attachment, meaning the photo as usual, and then tap and hold the attached image until the backup or until the pop-up menu appears. And then tap mark.
And that's the one where you can tell it what resolution you want it to send it as?
We don't know.
No, that would be afterwards. When you send it, you get that menu. This is before. You put the photo, you attach the photo to your email, and then if you want to edit it a little bit, I couldn't do it. I wanted to try that. I didn't know if anyone had done it.
Chuck, it's time for us to get the band back together and to do the one-on-ones. Should we do it next month? Try and get it together to next month?
Okay.
Or do you want to try and help her today when we're doing the main presentation?
Well, we can do it today or next month. I just thought other
Okay.
people might have wanted to edit photos and email and
Yeah.
might be.
The thing that drives me absolutely wild with the folks that are working on the iPhones and the iPads is that you'll have something working in iOS 10, you get used to it, your fingers remember the swipes that you're supposed to do, it happens as if by magic, then they change it.
Yeah. I think that may be
Example,
what happened.
iOS 12, the latest for the iPhone and the iPad.
Yeah.
All right. It used to be if you wanted to bring up the control center in iOS 11, you just pulled with one finger from the top of the screen.
Right.
In iOS 12, you can pull from the top of the screen all day and all night, no control center. You pull from the upper right-hand corner.
You don't know how long it took me to figure that out.
Now,
You're right.
what is the benefit of pulling from the upper right-hand corner as opposed to pull from the center of the screen? It's
I know
what I
what the
would
difference
call.
is,
Yes,
because the new ones don't have your bar, the white part down here, like what's on these.
Yeah.
It's not there anymore on the new ones.
ah,
Gonna be gone.
okay. I wasn't thinking of the
Like the
phones, because the
iPhone.
phones
Yeah.
are like they're borderless. Okay.
He
Okay.
explained it to me.
Okay.
So what is missing?
So I need to spend quality time with
You
Rick.
see the white part down here on
Yeah.
my iPad, it's, the new ones do
It's
not
not
have
there
that.
anymore.
It's not there,
Oh,
that's
I
why they
see.
changed it to the upper corner.
I see.
It's all part of the new gestures to deal
Yeah.
with Face ID.
Okay. I'm going to declare victory and then we're finished with help desk. If you have other concerns, see us at the break, which will be right after the raffle. Okay, time to do raffle. Okay. All right. We're going to talk about the latest releases from Apple of operating systems. Okay. Things get complicated nowadays because they've got so many different operating systems. I'm just going to lay it out once before I actually start the presentation so we're sort of working in the same way. You've got MacOS, which is the stuff we use on the Macintosh computers. The stuff they used to call Mac OS X is now Mac OS. Then you have what's called iOS. Originally it was iPhone OS, operating system for iPhones. That's what works on the iPads and the iPhones. Then we've got tvOS. Yeah, that's the operating system for the Apple TVs. Okay, the most forgotten stepchild of the Apple product line. And then we have watchOS. which is the operating system for the Apple Watches. The other thing to keep in your mind is, where does Apple make its money? It makes its money from the phones, it makes its money from the watches, it makes its money from the iPads. macOS, Apple TV, not so much. Okay? So the world-class devices, the iPhones, the iPads, the watches, their operating systems get world-class attention from the programmers. The stepchildren, the Macintosh computers, which, you know, you may have a 2018 model of various types of Macintosh computers, but if you compare it to a 2015 Macintosh, you'll not see that much of a difference, except for them taking away ports on the side. Taking away functionality, taking away your optical drives. Okay. Those operating systems get, in my opinion, less attention from the programmers. Okay. So with that said, I'm going to sit, and hopefully I'll be able to stand again at the end of the presentation. The back muscles won't lock up on me. Alrighty, and I'm going to really use my voice because Bill Howe took my microphone away from me. Alright, so this is a new feature report. There's just too much there to do a dog and pony show of each one of these operating systems. So it's iOS 12, macOS 10.14, tvOS 12, and watchOS 5. Okay, here we go. So, executive summary. If you've got an iPhone or an iPad and it can run iOS 12, go ahead and install it. Just, it's not even a question. iOS 12 is more stable than iOS 11 or iOS 10. It runs faster. Your apps work better than on iOS 11 and iOS 10. And you get a better battery life under iOS 12. And then one other little fillip to add to it. They just released iOS 12.01. Okay, so they put those, they already found some things that needed to be tweaked and they fixed them. So for your iPhone, for your iPad devices, if it can run iOS 12, go ahead and do it. All right, now macOS 10.14. My advice is to wait and verify that your apps are compatible, and I would wait until November. Now the reason I say that is not because of your programs, but that's a major concern with the new operating systems. You know, verify the things you use every day to get your stuff done is Mojave compliant, is the terminology. But the reason I say wait is because there are 4 documented vulnerabilities in the operating system that have not been patched. They are vulnerabilities that were in previous Mac operating systems that were fixed, and somehow the fixes didn't make it into the new one. Okay? So I would say, unless you just bought a machine from the store and it's got Mojave already on it, I would hold off for, you know, a couple days until they get those patches out. So when macOS 10.14.01 comes out, go for it. tvOS 12. If you've got an Apple TV 4th generation, just go ahead and put it on. There's no real significant improvements, but there's no downside to it. Just go ahead and do it. That way you don't have the devices whining that they need to be updated. And last but not least, watchOS 5. And I will say this, the iPhone and the Apple Watch are world-class devices. They are devices that nobody else on the planet really has something better that they can beat it. So watchOS 5, absolutely. If you've got a Apple Watch that will run it, and I believe everything from Watch 2 on up does it. Watch 1?
0 is the only thing that can't run.
Oh, cool. Okay, so if you've got an Apple Watch, just update to Watch OS 5. Alrighty, now let's go into features. Okay, this is where I do the blah, 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 blah. Okay, iOS, new features. So we're talking about the iPhones, the iPads. Siri shortcuts. Siri and I do not have a very good relationship. I'll ask Siri for something like David's Cemetery and it'll point, say, why do you have a dead body? Things like that. But Siri shortcuts are ways that you can speed up your day. I'll just say they're good things that they put into it. The Photos app has been completely reworked in iOS 12. They're actually making it so you can find things again. When they made that shift from iPhoto to Photos, they sort of took away some of the things we had relied on to be able to find stuff. The Stocks, News, and Voice Memos apps have all been redesigned, all made better, in my opinion. And if you've got an iPad and you're running iOS 12, you're going to have voice memos for the first time. That wasn't available on the iPad before. Then they did a rebranding thing. Steve Jobs has been dead, 4 years now? 5? So they're little by little chipping away at all of the I things he did. iBooks, iMac, all that. So iBooks, the application in iOS 12, is now just called Books, Apple Books. And it has a new look also. For those of you who use your iPhone as a navigation device in the car, the CarPlay feature of iOS 12 now works with third-party apps, so you can use it with other things. And then the last two, which I think are the ones that I really appreciate, notifications. Those things that come up, there's a, let's see, I-75 has a blockage at Needmore Road. Those kind of things that would come up. Or this website has something that they want your attention. These are the things that are called notifications. Now they are grouped by application. Now the reason why this is a good thing is I would get a notification, but I didn't know what program was sending me that notification. Was it Safari sending it from some website? Was it the mail program giving me that notification? Which means that I didn't know which thing to turn off, so it stopped nagging me. Well, since they're now grouped by app, you get a notification up, you now know what program is sending you that notification, and you have the option of turning off notifications from that program if you so desire. And then last but not least, deep breath, sorry, a little back twinge there. There's a new program for the iPhone called Measure. Now you've got to have one of the newer iPhones where it's got multiple cameras. So you point it at the wall and it tells you how long is that wall, how long is that car, how much space is between that exit sign and where I am now, using parallax. Okay, that's a neat feature.
From what model? From like 8 up or 9 up?
7 up, if I remember correctly. It's on there?
Yeah.
Okay, so Sister Louise says she has an iPhone 7 and she's got measures.
You mean if it appears an app?
It's an app.
Once you
tap on the app and then it'll walk you through getting some landmarks, and then it'll tell you what the distance is from what to what that you tapped on the phone.
Will the iOS, the new download, install that app?
Yes.
It does it
Yep,
automatically?
it'll show up like stocks and voice memos and phone and the other stuff. Okay.
It's really cool.
Moving, and Sister Louise says it's really cool, so, okay.
It's fun to play with.
So if you want to know how long you have to walk to get to the communion rail, do you need the cane or the walker? Okay. So now I'm going to talk about watchOS new features. Okay. There's no way I could go into all the new features because there's more than 65 of them in watchOS 5. So I just picked 4. The first one is called walkie-talkie. And
Dick Tracy.
yeah, okay, it's Dick Tracy, okay, and he's talking to the chief. So, neat feature. Another one is activity competitions. This is the sort of the health stuff. So I have a Fitbit watch that'll tell me, hey sluggard, get up off the couch, move your fat ass, because you need to, okay. This is where you can compete with yourself, set up your own thing, or compete with others. Okay, so those are activity completions. Another one is, and this one, people don't think it's a big deal, but they've got new watch faces available in watchOS 5. If you're paying, I don't know, what's the, hey Rick,
Yes.
Rick, what's the current retail on a Apple Watch?
Yeah, I try not to think about that.
Like 300?
The aluminum, you can get the aluminum without LT for around $500.
Okay, so it's like $500. Okay, so you're up there
Yeah.
with, you know, the big bling watches. Hey, you should be able to have like a watch face that looks as good, and they really outdid themselves. They've got 4 or 5 new watch faces. They really are gorgeous. And then last but not least, improved notifications. So this echoes off of the notifications in iOS 12. Your watch is notifying you about stuff. Now you know what program is doing the notification, so if you find it's annoying, you can turn it off. Or if you're not getting a notification, you can see what app handles that and be able to turn it on. Okay, moving right along. Now we're going to go to the first of the stepchildren, macOS features. Okay, now what Apple considers to be a significant upgrade of the operating system is not what I would consider to be a significant upgrade of the operating system. So the first thing they tell you out of the box is, whoa, you got a new thing called dark mode. And what it will do is it'll, instead of you having a lot of light on the screen, it's more like it's dark. And I'm thinking, all those years with the CRT terminal, black screen, green letters, then we got upgraded to white, then we got upgraded to yellow. I think I understand dark mode, and it's not that big of a deal for me. However, if you're someone who does a lot of presentations, having a dark mode screen when you're presenting in a darkened room really is a nicer way to go, because you get less of the glow on your face, so that people can't throw the fruit at you. Okay, now, the next thing that they added is called stacks. Okay, now, some people will find this feature incredibly annoying, and other people will think it's the best thing since sliced bread. So, I want you to think about your Macintosh computer and your desktop. How many files do you have on your desktop? Are you organized, bare bone, Germanic, or have you got so many files on the desktop it looks like the side of a fish, you know, scales? Well, what Stacks does is it automatically organizes the things that you've left on your desktop into organizational containers called stacks. So it'll put all the PDFs together. It'll put all of the zip files together. It'll put all of the pictures together. It'll put all of the web links together. And then when you want to go find something, the spreadsheets together and the Word. Okay. Then you have to open the stack and then it'll show you what's in there and you find it in there.
And you turn it off.
You can turn it off, but for some reason it kept re-turning on the machine that I put Mojave on. Okay, this might just be a Bill thing, okay? So Bill did his thing and I went into terminal and I turned it off. Okay, which I do not recommend to the people that I really appreciate that are the members of this group. Okay, you're my flock. I try not to lead you astray. But again, it's something that I think some people will really, really enjoy and other people will find incredibly annoying. Then the other thing that they thought was a really great improvement is an all-new Mac App Store. So you have the App Store, the Mac App program you go to when you want to find an application that's from Apple, the Apple Store, put it on your Mac and that. And it was pretty much a very simple process to find things until they started to dink with it. So now the new features are auto-playing videos and even articles about popular apps in the store, so you can learn more about apps before you download them. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to be turning 67 this month. The last thing I need is another damn video plan. Okay. Give me a search engine where I can type in what I'm looking for and you just show me what's available. Okay? When I go to Kohl's, I've gotten to the point where I just walk up to one of the clerks and say, where will I find? I don't bother to search anymore, even though I do need the exercise. So again, I think they've made the App Store, instead of it being a bare bones place where you would go look for something like, remember Hub's Foods? Okay, bare bones, you find it, okay? Now it's going to be more like you're going into that department store and they've got people willing to do all these demos for you, and you go into the store and out of the store, and then you get home and you realize you never bought what you wanted to buy. Okay, enough with the convention. Moving on, now this is something that actually is useful. Better screenshot tools. Now, you had an app called Grab that was in the utilities folder. It's been there since the days of Jaguar and Panther, and almost no Macintosh users knew it was there. And it let you do things like time countdowns before I would take a screenshot, or you could take a screenshot of just a window or just a section of the screen. A wonderful little app, but again, because people didn't know it was there, they didn't use it. So what they've done is they've added another screen grabbing menu with recording tools like a countdown, delay timer, the ability to show or hide the cursor in the shot, okay, and new ways to quickly share and organize your screenshots. So in other words, you can take a screenshot, say share, boom, it places it in an email, sends it off, or airdrops it, or puts it up on Dropbox, you know, whatever you want to do. Really, really makes you much, much more productive when you're doing screenshots. And one of the things I do a lot of is screenshots with annotations. Okay, so I take the screenshot of the dialog box, then I do the red circle around the button you're supposed to press, and then
You're
I do
using
the
preview.
arrows.
Are you using preview now then, or you know you can do that in preview, right?
I know, and I've done it in preview for years, but now you
Now you
can
can do
markup
it just
in this, yeah.
Okay.
So that's a good thing. All right, moving right along, then there's another feature in macOS 10.14 Mojave, which is called Continuity Camera. Okay, so you're working on a document on your Mac, but you want to add a photo. It can automatically activate the camera on your phone, and when you snap that photo, it automatically appears on the document on your Mac. Okay, I can see some really interesting practical jokes you can
Does this only work in?
So, but it's this whole continuity thing. So it's the using another device with continuity. So they're trying to get where all your devices are seamless, you know, ubiquitous data. I thought it was a nice feature, but then I don't do continuity. When I'm working on a document, I'm working on a document. I start, I finish, I save it, I move on to the next thing. I don't let things hang around where, oh, I'll work on it in the car on my phone while I'm driving into work. I don't think so. Okay, moving right along. Then we have another feature which is called Quick Look. And this is another one that people didn't know was there, and that is you click once on a document and tap your space bar, and the operating system would show you what that document was. If it was a PDF, you could scroll through the different pages of the PDF. If it was a picture, you could look at the picture, you could go through multiple pictures. If it's a Word document, you could look at it, even if you didn't have Microsoft Word, spreadsheets, etc., etc. Well, they added something to it, and that is markup tools. So not only can you bring up that document in Quick Look, but then you can mark it up. You can annotate it without having to launch Preview, because there's some documents that Preview won't launch. Okay. So, and you can edit, you can trim. It's really nice. They've added some really nice editing features there. Then the last feature is added security. Some of you will think this is a wonderful thing, and some of you are going to go, oh my Lord, how many times do I have to click OK?
Yeah.
So, with the added security in macOS, your apps must get your approval before they can access your Mac's camera or microphone. In other words, your camera and your microphone are turned off by default on your Mac. You've got to turn them on, give permission to turn them on before they work. And this is also true if an app is trying to access your messages history, or wants to go to your mail database, or wants to have access to contacts. You'll have to approve it and say whether you're approving it just once or whether it's something that you wanted to have that ability going forward. So they're making you much more aware of how your applications want to grab your data and make use of it.
That means I don't need to have the little flip on my iMac that keeps the camera covered up.
You mean I'm the only, I'm not the only one that has the little piece of cardboard?
That's right.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yes, and the reason why they did it was the refusal of some school districts who mass buy.
Oh.
They want to be
Okay.
able to remotely monitor what.
Right.
Yeah. And Apple doesn't want them to be able to do that, so they're changing the operating system. And then moving on to, yes?
When the time comes to do this upgrade for macOS, do you recommend just doing the upgrade from iTunes or, like we've done in the past, or clean install?
I don't have enough operational history to answer the question. The machines I put it on, because of what they were, I had to do a upgrade from the current operating system. Okay. I don't know the answer to that. If past is prologue, the upgrade is the preferred way to do it. You get the best result. Doing the wipe the computer, start totally fresh, bring stuff in. Probably not this one, but the one that follows Mojave, when all of the 32-bit apps are completely killed, where there's absolutely no support for the 32-bit apps. Because you're going to have to install all new apps anyway at that point. Except maybe Office 2019, which I'm assuming is all 64-bit
Well,
goodness.
2016 is now too.
Okay. Well, there were some DLLs on the Windows versions that were still dirty, that were still 32-bit. Okay, so anyway, I really can't give you a, I could blow smoke, but I prefer not to do that among friends.
Okay.
I did it in place from 1012 to 1014.
Oh, okay, and what was your experience with that?
I did it on a MacBook Pro 2012 model with 4 gig of RAM, traditional hard drive, not solid state.
Okay,
For a productive use machine, I would recommend solid state and at least 8 gig of RAM.
okay. But how did the transition go from?
No problem, but I also made sure I had updated Flash and updated all the different things.
Okay,
Okay.
okay,
I've done 3,
okay.
and all of them I just updated, and everyone as smooth as could be. I had no problems at all. There are some apps that are issues still, but
Yeah.
outside of the app issue, it would be
Yeah.
pretty fine.
Now, another reason why I suggest people wait is because I went to the website that I use as my reference, roaringapps.com, to see what apps they had tested with Mojave, and it's like there's nothing out there yet. People haven't submitted in. Well, it's not a testing lab like United, like UL, Underwriter Laboratories. This is more like a Wikipedia thing where people submit that, yes, they had this program and it works okay with Mojave, or that you have to upgrade to this. All right, let me move on here. tvOS. Okay. Everything that I saw with tvOS was basically just another way to sell you new speaker systems or whatever, or it was trivial, but I'll just walk through them anyway. So, Dolby Atmos on Apple TV 4K, these are speakers. So think of it like home theater speakers that are just meant to work with the Apple TV. So Dolby Atmos is in tvOS 12. They have a bunch of new screensavers from NASA, so that cost them a lot of money to put into the Apple TV. NASA, we paid for it with our tax money. Zero sign-in. With an Apple TV, you have all of these apps that would be like a Netflix app and a Hulu app and think of the people that provide content on cable channels. And some people sign up for just that, like I have a Netflix subscription. But other people have cable TV. So they already have access to all this stuff, but they just have to tell their Apple TV that they're using Spectrum or Cincinnati Bell or whoever, Well, it used to be that you had to go to HBO and put in the code, and you had to go into the next one and put in the code. So they finally did what's called zero sign-in. You have your Apple TV, it's on your network, it's also connected to the television. It can tell that you've got a cable provider, and boom, it does it once. And then everything else that you've got, you're available to go.
How do you go about changing the OS? I got one of the first versions out.
If you have one of the first versions of the Apple TV, the expression is, well, I won't use the impolite one, but it's SOL. You're out of luck. Okay. There's other things you can do. If you have the original Apple TV, which looks like a small computer, you can put Linux on it. You can jailbreak them. But the others, basically, you're just going to use the interface that you have. Okay. And then the last one is autofill passwords. Now this one actually was sort of neat. If you have an iPhone or an iPad running iOS 12, you can get an alert on your device when you get a login screen from an app, Netflix, YouTube, Google Play. Tap the alert to bring up your device's keyboard and enter your password with the suggested fill-in. Guest sign-ons is coming down the road. So that means that your iPhone basically becomes a substitute for the remote, where you got to go over 12 spaces and up 2 and down 5 and over 3. So that one actually makes some sense. So I'm going to just go to questions. I'm going to stand up. And so if we have any questions at this point, I will entertain them.
Upgrade your iPhone. Okay, and the newest version. And you still have to go to the App Store to get that measures.
No. It's there. It's there. Yeah. Just do a search for Siri, open measure. Okay. And then make a note where it is on which screen, and then move it where you want it. Okay. For me, it came up on one of the first screen, the screen right after the first screen, because there was space there for it. Okay. Yes.
Quick little odd question. If you have photographs that you put on a thumb drive from a Mac that was 32-bit system and put it on one of the newer Macs at 64, is there going to be a compatibility issue?
No, they should just
It
work.
should just go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, what I do is I make sure they're in folders on the flash drive, and then I drag them in folder by folder onto the Photos app. So it's bringing them in as events. Groups. Otherwise, you end up with, oh, I brought in 2,000 photos, and now I
So
got a...
probably should cherry pick them. In other words, one item here, one item there.
Depends on how, much time you got.
Oh.
See, remember, most of the time, I'm working on somebody else's computer with their photos, and I want to make sure that I don't miss any of those photos. But on the other hand, I know if I just drag them, it's going to be, we need to make things right away. Can I finish? Other questions?
When you upgrade to the Mac, the 10.14.1,
Yeah.
does that mean it's got it? I'm still on Sierra.
Yeah.
Would that take me beyond Sierra?
Yeah.
Okay, then
It'll take you past High Sierra, which you don't have
Right,
yet.
yeah.
Yes.
And the other thing to remember is, if things are working right now, and you don't have a compelling reason to update the operating system.
I want to keep my Word document, Word and all that stuff.
I would just stay where you are.
Okay.
Okay. Any others? Going once, going twice? Then I'm going to say thank you for coming out on a sunny day when you could be doing other things that are more enjoyable than listening to me talk.